Wow, well, it was a surprise, that's for sure. I was in university back in the 19th and studying choral conducting. And I did some competitions. I did the Met auditions in the United States. I did some other competitions, and I auditioned for the Lyric Opera of Chicago's apprentice program. And as luck would have it, they took me fresh out of university, and as they say, the rest is history. Nearly 40 years later. Yeah, so it was a very big surprise. No, this is this was my debut in Real, although I've been here singing at La Zarzuela in the 90s. I sang in three different productions: Italiani in Algeri, Don Pasquale, and Flauto Magico. Wow, is there a normal day for us? Well, when we're in rehearsal, of course, you get up in the morning, have some coffee, maybe Starbucks if you have one, which is nice in Madrid, and go to rehearsal and rehearse and be with your colleagues, and in the end, you maybe have some dinner and watch some baseball if baseball is on, which it is right now, and or football, and relax. Uh, but at this right now in this time of my career, I'm usually studying something as well because there's always something new to learn, always a new role to learn. This was new to me as well, so I've been studying this for the past 3 months. So how long does it take me to study a new role? Well, it's a process that I've sort of gotten to be my own process. Um, I normally don't need a piano to study it. I can look through it, learn the notes, learn the text, and to really know it, to start to sing it, about 2 weeks to study. And then putting it in the voice usually doesn't really happen until I start rehearsing. And that's new roles. Um, Memorization is kind of a funny thing for me. I'm a little different than a lot of other people. I tend to memorize during rehearsal periods. I need to have it on its feet. Coaching it and rehearsing everything together. You need to have the other people. For me, I need to have the other people to memorize and to know the whole process of the role and the opera. It's very important. I mean, you can memorize what you're saying and what you're singing, but for me, I have to memorize everything that goes around it. That's how the timing is very important. So I do have hobbies. Yes, I play golf. So probably my biggest passion, hobby. I'm a sports fanatic. Let's just face it. Um, but I love golf. I love to watch all American sports, baseball, football, basketball. Um, so that keeps me busy, keeping up with my favorite teams throughout the year. Um, I like to also watch European football. I have a few clubs that I like, and it's become very interesting for me because you can watch it a lot over here. In the United States, it's coming, but anyway, yeah, sports are my hobbies. Choral conducting was an ambition, and it became reality about 15 years ago. And I had a choir in Rochester, New York, where I live, and my wife ran the choir and kept it afloat and kept everyone together while I traveled around, and it went very well for about 12, 13 years. But my schedule has become in the past couple of years just not compatible, so we've had to suspend our uh, our um, our choir for now. Hopefully, we'll get back to it. Yeah, I mean, I think I have explained this a few times, but at the beginning of my career, which we're talking about the 80s, pretty much all of the 80s, I sang what the Americans would call standard repertoire. And I'll name you five: Bohème, Butterfly, Traviata, Rigoletto, and what was I going to say? Some of the French things too: Romeo and Juliet, Faust. These were standard things that you would find in the American theaters. So we all sang those things because in the 80s, it had the bel canto renaissance had just begun, and we really didn't know much about it. Then the bel canto started for me in the late 80s to sing Bellini and Donizetti, and then specialized really in Rossini. In 92, I would say, was my debut in Pesaro in the festival there. And I became really a Rossini, quote-unquote, expert for the better part of maybe 15 years, I would say. And I still do Otello of Rossini. It's one of my favorite roles. I'll be doing that in Barcelona next February. So that became my life. The bel canto really became my life. And then I could feel this change happening in the voice, natural change. I wasn't really doing anything to make it change. You could just feel the voice expanding and the voice getting a bit more colorful, let's say. The center of the voice was getting larger, but the top was still there, which is nice. Doesn't happen for everyone, I guess, but I had the very nice opportunity to start to sing some Verdi in 2010. But let me go back before that. In 05, 06, I started to do some Berlioz, and that really sort of showed me the way to get from bel canto to Verdi, which I think is a natural process. Berlioz really was part of the bel canto era, and I sang a lot of Damnation of Faust with Charles Dutoit, and all over the world, and that really solidified my technique in that, bridging the gap, let's say. And so I got an opportunity in 2007 to sing Rossini's Otello, and I had been singing Berlioz for quite a few years and really had let the center of the voice naturally get bigger. And that sort of changed everyone's impression of me, because the voice had grown quite a bit. And that Otello was quite a success in 2007, and led to other baritone roles in the festival there, and Hermione and Zelmira. And here in Spain, I got a chance to sing Guillaume Tell in La Coruña in a concert form back in 2010. And that sort of opened other doors for me here and in Italy. 2011 was Vespri Siciliani, which I've had an opportunity to study and do for the first time. Was really the first big Verdi thing that I had done, and it went rather well. And I found that I think it was going to be a good fit for me. This new repertoire and this new, I don't want to say new way of singing, because it's not. That for me has always been the secret, is to keep that technique that I've learned for 30 years in everything that I do today. And also which of course Vespri was the first thing, second thing was Ballo in Maschera, and the third thing was Otello of Verdi. And then going back to sing Otello of Rossini, which everyone thought I was crazy to do, and I sort of thought that myself, but it actually went pretty well. I was really happy with it, and I still continue to sing it. Also bringing me back to this role, Roberto Devereaux. Not a great. Normally, if you would ask me 15 years ago, you're going to sing Trovatore, Roberto Devereaux, and Otello, in that order. And no, come on, really, that's impossible. but because I've kept at least the feeling of the singing in bel canto in that style, the style of singing and the style of the technique of bel canto, phrasing and things. It's nice to come back to it. And it took about a week to adjust from, because I'd come from Trovatore. It took a bit of time, but it's like riding a bicycle. You oh, there it is. Okay, that's what I need right there. And of course, it's not what it was 15 years ago. It's bigger. The sound is bigger. And but anyway, it's been a real pleasure to sing Devereaux, especially with Mariella. My goodness, couldn't get any better than that, right? That's a great question. I don't read them. I don't read them. It's a great question because this happened to me in 1989. I did a production of Romeo and Juliet. My wife will verify this for me because I had spent 11 years of career, and I would always get Gregory Kunde saying blah blah blah. And I said to her, wouldn't it be nice to get like a paragraph or something in a review, and just maybe they could talk a bit more about what I do, So I did this production of Romeo and Juliet in Minnesota, of all places. Good company, Minnesota Opera. And the review came out, and she read it first, and she said, well, you got your paragraph. As a matter of fact, you got two. Oh, wow. So I read it. It was horrible. It was personal. It was the worst review I'd ever read. And I was devastated because now I have 9 more performances of this thing to do. And now when you read bad reviews about yourself and you have to go and continue to perform, you could see you walk in the door and that your colleagues are like, hi, how are you? So I actually spoke to the stage director about this. I was devastated because I thought it went well, and he knew it went well. And the conductor, and he said, "Look, this I'll never forget this. A man named Leon Major, stage director, United States, and he said, I don't read reviews anymore because if you believe the good ones, you have to believe the bad ones. So don't read them. Know what you did. You know what you did. So, let other people read them for you or whatever. You don't need to worry about that. It's not necessary. So you know when you have a good performance or a bad performance, and you know what your standards are. Especially now, I know what my standards are. So and sometimes they're there and sometimes they're not. But that's singing. You have those nights and you have really good nights. And what's really funny is that something that you think is a really good night, you might ask someone in the audience, you weren't at your best tonight. So, it's just all a matter of opinion, So I just do away with it. Every once in a while, 6 months later, you'll run across something on the internet with it. Wow. Oh, glad I didn't read that one. So. Yeah, I think, we're going to continue to do things that are a bit heavier. Things like Andrea Chenier are hopefully in the works. Manolesco is certainly on the books for next February or March in Bilbao, so we're going to try that. More Puccini. Things that I had hoped to do, they were always dreams that, now are able to be realized. I did Pagliacci and Cavalleria last April in Bilbao, which went very well. And I think, again, with the technique that I bring to this for myself, I'm not afraid of anything now. It's just, it's whether I want to do it or not. And Peter Grimes is high on the list. It's one of my favorite pieces, and it's a real tour de force. It's like Othello, one of those roles. And a lot of questions have been asked. Are you going to do some Wagner? Which that's sort of the heaviest as you could get. And unfortunately, I'm not interested right now. Maybe it'll come, but I have so many other things that I really want to do before that. And I don't know. Maybe we'll get there, and maybe we won't. But we're concentrating on things that we're doing now. So. I wish I could, but it's not. When it's official, I could tell you, but it's not official yet. So I'm sorry. I have to wait. It's. But it will be soon. Let's put it that way.